Hello and welcome back to another one of the tutorials, the second part in the terrain series in Unity. I apologize for any background sounds you might hear. That is my son. But unfortunately, I can't record from my office or anywhere else because of the lockdown, and I need to get these videos done, so I apologize. All right, this is where we left off in our previous session. We have our two materials. You guys can add as many layers as you want, just based on what you're trying to create. I've only added two for this demo's sake. Yeah, so now the next step is to create our trees. So I've created a separate scene for our trees. As you can see, I'm just gonna hit save. I forgot to save that. So I have two trees in here. If I double click or hit F or focus, it'll focus on those trees. So to show you guys how to create something like this, I am going to go ahead and create a new 3D object, and it's going to be a tree, and it's going to be set to the 0, home position. I'm going to move that aside over here so we can see what we're doing without it overlapping with the other tree, or you could leave it there and we could just like turn these off. So yeah, so this is our tree here, and in our inspector we have several different options. This is how you create procedural trees. You can sculpt them in in Maya or ZBrush if you want, or any other 3D program. But this is our speed tree plugin for Unity, excuse me. All right, so the first thing is, there's a couple of things here. This is our base node. If we select that, we can move our tree around. If we select this, we can't move our tree around. We can move these points around, but we want them to be procedural. What we're gonna do is, these are a couple of options over here that you can tweak around. So let's start. We have our length here. As you can see, this has 2 points, so this is a sort of a variation between the lengths if you had more than one tree here. So you can create clusters of trees here, and you can do that by going over the frequency. So if I were to increase this, you can see that there's a cluster of trees that we are creating now. Sort of like creating a bush or something. So let's see what happens if we were to area of spread reduce that. So you can do stuff like that. It really depends on what you're trying to do. So yeah, I'm just going to create a bunch of cacti right now clustered together. So the more number of, obviously, seeds that you have, or frequency, the higher the frequency of these is, you can see the number over here, the more processing your computer is going to require. So let's just leave it to that for now. Next, as you see, this is the natural shape of our first trunk starting out. Doesn't have much on it. It's just a single, goes like from a lower radius and becomes like super sharp at the end. We can fix that because cactuses normally are just rounded at the top and somewhat have the same radius. So to fix that shape, we are going to go to the radius option here. You can see here the radius. We can adjust the size here. If I increase the size, you can see how that increases. Now, to fix the radius at the top, you will notice that there's a graph over here right next to it. I'm just going to go ahead and change this to 1 for now, but this indicates If I click on this, it'll show you what the graph is. So imagine this is our starting radius and this would be our ending radius. Like this is the start point and this is the end point. So starting out, our radius is 1, and then ending, it is 0, which means that our radius is going to end up being, it's consistently going to decrease till it reaches the point of 0. Now, if this were a curve, what that means is, like, it's going to increase. Maybe it's not going to decrease so much and then it's suddenly going to decrease, you know what I mean? And maybe if I had it like this, and the curve goes up, it's going to increase and then decrease. Or maybe, like, depends again, like how you have your curves set up. So you can see how that affects the overall shape of our trees. So if you want to have the top to be the same, like real cacti, I can just click on these presets that I have here. So if I go, go back here, I think I clicked on the growth distribution. Yeah, that's what I did. Growth scale, I apologize. We want to do the radius. So you go back to the radius, you can just click on this. And now you'll notice that they are like cylinders that are bending in a weird way. The next thing that you want is to give it a rounded off top. So what you can do is increase that, and now it's starting to round off at the top. The more I increase it, the smoother I guess it'll be. There you go. But we can reduce that too. So you have some sort of a similar shape to a cactus going on right now. The next thing that you want to do is you want to add some branches. To do that, you have a couple of options over here. You can delete a group, you can add a group, duplicate a group. Right now we have this one, and I want to add branches to all of these trunks. So I'm just going to click on plus here. And now you can see that, now you can see that these have some branches. I am going to increase the frequency again, which increases the number of branches, and that's now 33. The total number of branches here. So that's not counting, like this is like 7. So these are 7 branches, and then like this added 33. So and I accidentally turned that off, so I'm just going to click on this I button here and it turns on the base as well. So you can do that if you're designing like you want to focus on just like one group. Okay, so that's not really like a cactus. So the first thing again you want to do is you want to fix the radius. So we're going to go back and click on this. And we are going to increase the cap smoothing over here, so the caps are like smoother. And then the next thing that we want is the branches to be pointing upwards. So there's a couple of different options here that you can use. So there's a growth angle that you can use. This adjusts the growth angle. And then you can do the sun seek. So branches usually go towards, like, they seek sun and they grow in that direction. So this is not terrible, but I feel like these branches could be better, like their placement and their thickness. So there's a couple of things that you can do to adjust that as well. Again, crinkliness is like if you wanted to create like trees that are like sort of super crinkly and dead, but we don't want to do that here. That's not what we're looking for. So we're just going to reduce that here. Cactuses or cacti don't have crinkliness, so we can kind of reduce this too here. Really lower it. And if it's seeking sun more, so this is like even more vertical like that. Okay, going back here to our second group. And distribution is something that you can tweak around with. And I will cover the different types of distribution again in another tutorial for our second tree type. Or, I mean, just to go over it real quickly, I can do it here. Alternate would be for a different tree type. I'll go over these in a bit. But again, so growth scale is something that we want here. So as you can see that adjusts it like that. That's just not what we want. And then we are going to be on random. The next thing is like, again, the graph here that you want to tweak. So you can adjust a couple of things here. If I were to move this down here, move this down here, it adjusts. And then we want to tweak around the distribution too. So going to our distribution. Now this is a horizontal line. If I were to change this, see how that changes the way that the branches are distributed. We can change this. So it really depends again. You can see what the different options are over here. I'm going to lower this and bring it here. See what that looks like. Not terrible. I guess that's okay. I want to adjust the distribution again over here. Don't really love this. I mean the growth scale here. Yeah, there you go. But I still don't like the placement of that. So let's see what these different options do for us. That's fine. So this is like the top of the branches that would, topmost branches, like they would be smaller. We could tweak the radius of these, which we haven't really touched, so that might, let's reduce the length from here as well. We can uncheck this and it'll show you the relative, or I guess length or radius. You can decrease the radius too if you want. So I think I like the relative length here, and you can just like increase the radius here. So that's better. Kinda, sorta. I want to reduce the main radius because that's a little too much. Yeah. Maybe reduce the frequency. That's way too much in the branches here. Yeah, that's better. And now the next thing that you can do, the last thing that you want to do is like apply the material. We haven't added leaves to this yet. If you want to add thorns, you can do that by adding them to these and these. So let's add thorns here. And then to do that again, we're adding some branches. All we're going to do is reduce the length by a lot. Let's turn these off here so we don't see those. Let's see what we're doing with our thorns here. So we reduced the length a lot, and we can make them real spiky like that, and then reduce the radius more. So they're more like spikes here. Yeah, that's good, I guess. Yeah, so now we have our thorns. Again, you can increase the frequency if you want. Let's turn this off, I suppose, just to make sure we have more thorns. Again, the more you have going on with your geometry, the more, see, like it's like multiplied over here, the more intense it's gonna be, but we can test it out, I guess. This is cool. So there we have our thorns. And we can give it a little bit of, we can increase our sunseek here with the thorns too, so they're like a little curved and stuff, which is not bad. So that's cool. We have those. Now we just want to apply material to our tree. So to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use any of these default textures. I'm going to create my own. And to do that, I'm going to go here to my desert textures, and I'm going to show you. I got this image from the internet, and I created my own normal map on Photoshop. And you can use that, and then to create a material, what you do is you go to your materials, call it what you want. Cactus material, and then you're going to go here to your inspector, and from here you want to go to nature, and you can do your speed tree, and then again you can do your base texture, and you can do your normal map. I don't have a detail map for it, so this is fine. And now if I want to use this, you can sort of view this in here too. And I can just like drag and drop this onto here, and it sort of creates the material. We've applied it over here, so looks a little stretched, so you can again fix that over here by fixing the tiling here. So if I were to increase this, or maybe this, I don't know why I can't see it here, but the tiling should be able to fix it. Oh, normal map has to be checked. There you go. And we sort of want to reduce, that's a lot, but oops, sorry, I was on here. It doesn't, I mean, you can fix that based on whenever you're creating your normal map. But that looks better. Anyway, so once you have your tree created, all you have to go is go back to your terrain. So, and basically populate it, and I will show you how to do that in the next demo. Thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next video.